Good morning, everyone. Oh, now I can see you online. So today my talk is going to be in two parts. I'm going to talk about asking questions and the spirit of questioning. This spirit of questioning, as we all know, is essential to our lives, but it's particularly central to Zen practice. But first, I want to offer a prayer and talk a little bit about my understanding of prayer. It's a loaded word, I know, for some people. Not for me, but for some people. And in this time of such upheaval and suffering, one thing we can do, along with acting directly on behalf of sanity and care, is to offer prayers. It may seem odd, at odds, out of sync with what most people think of Buddhism, but it's not. All we need to do is expand our notion or correct our notion of what prayer is, and it fits quite well. So in our morning service here and in Soto Zen temples all over, we say a dedication following our chanting. There's a lot I could say about the nature and function of these dedications, but that's for another time. I just want to say that one of the parts of that dedication is we say, we pray, what we pray for is harmony among all nations. And we say that every morning. What we pray for is harmony among all nations. The word prayer is more potent than to say what we wish for or what we hope for. It's deeper and more powerful, I think. Personally, I believe in prayer. I believe it is powerful. So what do I mean by that? The word prayer, our English word prayer, comes from the Latin and has a sense of entreating or asking for something from some being. So it's interesting to me that this later meaning is a truncated version of the Greek. The Greek is more nuanced. I do not speak Greek. Does anybody here speak Greek? No. Okay, so I'm going to slaughter this word, I'm sure. It's seche. I have no idea. So it's the most common Greek word for prayer, and it's a compound of two words, pros and euche, E-U-C-H-E. Pros is a preposition. It means toward or immediately before. And the second half, which I don't know how to pronounce, is to pray or to vow. So this has a sense of turning ourselves toward our vow, our deepest intention, toward something. The Hebrew word for prayer, according to my readings, and those of you who know Hebrew can correct me, I'm not going to try and say it, includes the sense of self-reflection, so that there's this more expansive vision. So we go from this very rich, nuanced, inclusive sense of prayer down to asking for something. And if you read in literature about in contemplative life, the sense of prayer is not just asking for something in any of the traditions that I've read or heard from. So that's what I mean by this richer sense. Our teachings tell us that we and all beings, and that includes more than we can conceive of, are of the nature of interconnection, Buddha nature, the nature of dynamic interconnection. The spirit of this interconnection is alive in us and through us and to us in our life. When we turn our vow to something, then when we pray, when we turn our vow, when we entrust ourselves to our vow, we are a part of turning the whole world towards that, because we are of that world. So our vow impacts the world. Our prayer is a part of the ocean of being. More than what we conceive of responds. So this is not a petition to a separate being to do our bidding. We have no interventionalist God in Buddhism. It's an act of devotion. This is an act of devotion with all beings. It's a transformative act for ourselves and the reality that we belong to. So here's a prayer that I offer. We pray that the spirit of wisdom and compassion guide all of us toward a wholesome and life-giving peace for all beings and the earth we are a part of. Another thing I would feel comfortable saying. I pray that the wisdom and compassion of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas guide us, that the powerful be recalled to the truth of our connected lives and find a wholesome and life-giving peace. Or, I pray that the power of Manjushri's sword of wisdom cut through the delusion of self-serving interest so that the powerful are recalled to the truth of our interconnected world. You may have questions about this, about prayer, about what it means for you. So I'd like you to set that aside for a minute, because this brings us to the next part of my talk today. Zen practice is the practice of inquiry. So questions, all questions, are not only welcome, in a way, they're required. To take up Zen practice means we engage with our lives directly, with deep curiosity, caring, respect. We don't hold back. We admit we don't know. We want to grow and learn. To question is to pay respect to that which we question. To question is an act of respect, because if we didn't care, if we didn't respect or care, we wouldn't bother. Why would we bother asking any questions? So to question is to be alive to our lives, to be alive to what we care about. It's a posture toward and in life. This posture is central to our practice. To live in this way, we are courageous, we are respectful to others and to the teachings, we're open, we're curious. This is not hard or harsh. There's a kind of a peculiar kind of gentleness to these questions, a peculiar kind of gentle ferocity to these questions. To ask questions, we must also be listening. And what we hear may at first be an answer. I ask a question and I get an answer, but then if we follow the answer and stay with it, it just leads to more questions, doesn't it? Yeah. So that's the spirit of inquiry that keeps us alive and awake always till we die. So this practice leads us to the deepest questions, those that live in our bones. Sometimes these questions don't really have words to them, but they're alive to us. So in Zazen, we settle into a silent spirit of inquiry. Body, breath, heart, mind, simple, kind, strong, alive in this moment, listening, returning again and again and again, and settling into what is, whatever it is, whatever's happening in this moment. Any answers that come are not the point. If you stop with an answer, you stop life. So instead, our practice is a willingness to be fully alive right now to all of it. So words may come to this process of inquiry, and that's good. If they come, that's helpful. And if they don't, that's fine too. Being present in this way, we're not caught by thinking that comes and go, or comes and comes and comes and comes and comes and comes, you know? It opens us up to a way of living with entirely new possibilities. It's a responsive process, yeah, a creative one. It's the activity of Buddha. So our ancestors in our tradition, all the way back and all the way to today, say in many ways, go deeply into this. Ask this question completely. And that opens us up to all the ways that we can ask questions. Nothing is too small or too big. It's amazing, actually, I love simple questions, right? They can just lead us right down into it. So we might ponder, what is this life? How do I live most deeply and most truly? That's a big one, right? Other questions may follow or precede that. What is good work? How do I get along with people? What do I do with the situation in the world? What do I eat and why? Should I sit zazen in the morning or rest? What is Zen practice for me? Is this the way I want to live and engage with my questions? Is this the way I want to ask my questions? When we encounter the Dharma, we rightfully ask, what are the teachings and what do they mean for me? What is Zazen? What are the precepts? What do they have to say about getting to me about getting along with others? Why should I bother with all of this? There's so much to do in this world. When we hear a teaching, we might respond to a specific part of the text. What does it mean? No eyes, no ears, no nose, no tongue? There's a famous story about the great Zen master Dongshan. There's a boy heard no eyes, no ears from the Heart Sutra, right? And he said, but I have eyes, I have a nose, I have ears. And the tutor he was working with spotted his great sincerity and pointed him to a teacher to work with. That simplicity, that sincerity, that simplicity of saying, but wait, I have a self. What are you talking about? No self. I have ears. What are you talking about? No ears. See, when you ask those questions, then you dive into a real relationship to whatever you're questioning. We just did a chant, right? An unsurpassed, penetrating, and perfect Dharma is rarely met with even in 100,000 million kalpas. Having it to see and listen to remember and accept, I vow to taste the truth of the Tathagata's words. Now, what does that mean? Right? What is a perfect Dharma? What's a kalpa? What does it mean to listen? How do you see the teachings? Okay. You mean I have to accept this? How do I taste the truth of the Tathagata's words? What does that mean to me? See, these questions, they keep things alive. They turn things. So these questions are pure gold. They make the way relevant to you, to your life, to who you are. You can kind of get into the mud of your everyday life with them. Your relationships, your work, your response to troubles in your community, in the world. You relate to and with that, in that. So from the most simple to the most profound, and there often isn't any difference. You settle into a way of being that is alive to what is most important. You grow in your capacity to be solid, clear, and grounded to what is present, to what is new. You know what you know, and you know that it's provisional, right? This is so important. I know what I know in this moment, and it's provisional. So I can bring it forward, say, this is what I know, can do it with confidence. This is what I know. But I also know that I don't know everything, and I'm open. I'm questioning. I have no need to cling or defend anything. So with that, you can truly listen. This is what I talked about last time, the practice of listening. You don't need to hide. You don't need to defend. You can sense yourself rooted in your life, connected, and aware. So when you come here, when you sit at home, you grapple with what a Dharma talk means to you, with what a teaching means to you, with what Zazen means to you. Shinchu and I teach about a lot of things, all the dimensions of our practice, Zen teachings, Buddha, skillful relationships, being in the world as it is now, listening, faith, work, specific texts, all kinds of things. And there are many, many questions that follow from that. I hope. So listening to a Dharma talk listening to your life, engaging with the text, listening to each other, is a part of an expansive sense of curiosity, openness, questioning that underpins our relationship to others and to our Zazen practice. So we're going to do a little practice here, okay? I want you to get comfortable and sit quietly. Just settle into your body and breath. And a sense of not knowing. Listening. Not knowing. Right from the center of your being, not knowing. Now I'd like you to shift gears a little bit, still grounded in that posture, and reflect on your questions about this talk or anything else. It doesn't matter what the question is. The point is to sit with a question or many questions, the experience of question. Let whatever comes, come. And if nothing comes, ask yourself, what is the experience of question? Remember, not knowing is an active stance, a quest for the deepest knowing. What is the experience of question? Now, I would like you to ask a question. I'll not call on you. I wouldn't do that to you. But asking a question here with others is a practice in and of itself. And you do this not only for yourself, but for others. Because it's often the case, as you know, what you're wondering about others are also. So be willing to bring it forward. Can we stop the recording?